teman-teman.
Halo.
Namanya jangan lupa diganti.
Udah, ya.
Pak Salim.
Halo, boleh is fanmu Mbak Mika. Astagfirullah.
Gak ngefans, gak ngefans blast. Mesti bisa ketik nakal.
Pak Cevi katanya nanti menyusul.
Aduh, misi ini aku pegel banget ini aku dari kemarin.
Mbak Yani. Miss Yani, we can hear you. So who's gonna be the host, Miss Miftah atau Mr. Dion nih?
Ngantuk.
Oke,
Mm-mm.
okay, we're going to start the workshop today, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the monthly English Massive Workshop. How are you, everyone?
I'm good, Miss.
Good, thank you. And how
Alhamdulillah.
about you?
I'm great, thank you. Okay, today we'll have the last online workshop series with Miss Yani Herawati, the Principal Mentor and Curriculum Department Team Sekolah Bina Gemilang Jakarta, Miss Yani. Let me check if Miss Yani has joined us. Hi, Miss Yani.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Miss Yani?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, and also welcome for fellow tutors and all teachers from elementary school and high school across Kediri City. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Miftah and I will be your host for today's workshop. For your information, 2 weeks ago we have our fourth workshop with the topic concept checking and error correction. And the topic for today's workshop is lesson study approach for classroom observation. Before we begin the session, I'd like to remind everyone to turn the camera whenever possible and turn the microphone on if you're not talking. We'll have an interactive session, so if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to put your question or comment on the chat box or raise your hand and wait until we ask you to speak. All right. I'll hand it over to Miss Yani to start the workshop session. Over to you, Miss Yani.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today is our final day, I think, our final session. So this is the last meeting from our series of virtual workshop with the Kediri teachers, English teachers. And the topic of the day is going to be something that's very familiar to you, maybe classroom observation. And maybe some of you are not quite familiar yet with the second one is the lesson study. Lesson study is closely related to classroom observation, and maybe some of you have heard about it, and maybe some of you have just heard about it from today's session. Okay, I would like to ask for a few seconds so that I can share my slide. Miss Mita, can you please help me to enable me to share my screen because it is disabled at the moment?
Done, Miss Yannik.
Okay, thank you. Give me a second. Okay, so our topic of the day, as I mentioned earlier, is classroom observation, something which is close to your day-to-day activity as a teacher, and also something that might be new for some of us is lesson study. Okay, we'll talk about the classroom observation first. Since today is the last session of our workshop series, I would like to have a brief review about what we have covered from the previous sessions. As I remember, we have around 4 topics that we covered earlier. The first one is the presenting new target language. In this case is English. And the second, we are talking about the thinking classroom, student-centered learning. And the third, concept checking and error correction. I think that's the fourth. The third one was the use of L1, which is Bahasa Indonesia or any other mother tongue in class and authentic materials. While for today, our topic coverage will be more into the classroom observation and lesson study. So after we explore on how we are presenting the language and then how we are using the first language and then how are we going to maximize the second language or the foreign language in the classroom, and then how are we going to making use of some authentic materials, and then how are we going to do error correction or concept checking with our students. Now I think after you implement a lot of topics that we have covered earlier, I think it comes to the whole when we are talking to classroom observation. So we are going to discuss first what is classroom observation or class observation, and then why it is very important to have classroom observation, and then the types of classroom observation, and then whether classroom observation is served as quality control or professional development. And then we are going to discuss a little bit about lesson study and the cycle of lesson study. And then I will show you a video about lesson study later on. So you will know what is it like to have lesson study in your class. Okay. So what is classroom observation? Let's see the keyword. I think I would like to give you 1 or 2 minutes to read first, and then I would like to highlight several keywords from the definition. Okay, the first one, the keyword from the first definition about classroom observation is the record and the measurement of teacher teaching ability. So it is done systematically, and then you are being observed, and some of the teachers will be recorded also so that you can see and observe your own class in a way. And then classroom observation might come in 2 kind of observations, can be formal or informal. We are going to discuss these 2 in details later on. So it takes place in the classroom, can be anywhere, can be in an English course, can be in a classroom at a school, or can be when you are doing an activity outside the class, it can be observed also. And then usually it is conducted by the fellow teachers. Later on, I would like to hear whether you've been observed by your fellow teachers. Administrators over here refers to the principal, kepala sekolah ya, Bapak Ibu, or coordinators, or if you have coach at school or at your English course. And usually, these classroom observation are often used to provide teachers with constructive feedback. So you are going to receive feedback. Sometimes the feedback are not things that you would like to hear, but then you need it because you have to improve your classroom management maybe, or you need to refine your instructional techniques in delivering the target language. And usually school administrators like principals, coordinators, or vice principal usually regularly observe teachers as the extension of formal job performance evaluation. So usually in some school, there is performance evaluations, and one of them, it is included or it is measured through the classroom observation. Later on, I would like to hear from the teachers, their own experience of observing maybe or being observed. Okay, why is it so important, the classroom observation? Of course, as it is mentioned earlier, it is aimed to improve the teacher's ability to teach, to deliver the subject, okay? If your ability to teach is getting improved, definitely the outcomes of the students are also getting improved, okay? And so the schools or any institution, they got a chance to investigate or identify potential issues on how the different group of students are being taught and treated. And also you will see, oh, maybe classes that are dominated by the girls might need this kind of treatment, or maybe class where this kind of religion or race or socioeconomic standing might have or might need different way of teaching or approach to deliver a subject. So school will learn and they will be able to investigate and identify the needs of the school, the characteristic of the students, okay? And I believe everyone is a researcher, but then maybe over here is the researcher who is doing the research, for more research. Usually, researcher can come to class as maybe some students doing their thesis. They're coming to your class to observe. So classroom observation is one of the tools that they need to use in order to research, to do the research in the classroom. Can be for their own research or can be for the school to improve themselves, okay? Okay, as I mentioned earlier on the first slide, I think, types of classroom observation, there are two, informal and formal, okay? Informal is quite short, not more than 20 minutes, and then it's random. Your supervisor, your principal can come anytime to observe your class. Some schools in USA call this as walkthrough. So principal or coordinators comes only for 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, to stay in your class and observe. And usually they will pick the beginning of the lesson, the middle, or the end of the lesson, but not more than 20 minutes usually. And it is informal, and they can do it anytime. So this, in one of the institution, it is called Tok Tok Wow. Like they knock your door and then wow, you get a surprise, you get a visitor coming to your class, okay? And then the second one is formal observation. Usually it is done, you are informed as a teacher or teachers, you will be informed beforehand. So it's not Tok Tok Wow or surprise visit. So maybe your colleagues, can be your supervisor, coordinator, principal, or maybe somebody who's doing the research, making an agreement with you, arrange the schedule with you that they are going to come to your class on certain hours, on certain schedule, and then you are well informed. And usually during formal observations, you will have a conversation beforehand about what you are going to do, and then you're planning, and then you're going to explain about your class a little bit. So, and then there will be observation and post-observation. And then it's full lesson. So if your lesson is for 60 minutes, the observers will stay for 60 minutes. And then they will see this because they will see as the whole, and it's going to be a comprehensive observations. Well, for if informal observations is into like capturing snapshots of their lessons, is something short as not something which is comprehensive. But then usually people would like to see how you start your class, because from the way you start your class and then the kids are settling down, the teacher or the observers will be able to identify the needs of your classroom management maybe. Or maybe if they come in the middle, they want to see the dynamic of the lesson, they will see your techniques of teaching. Or the end, they would like to see how you end your lesson. Is it through concept checking, Are you doing some games, or you just end the lesson without any review? So that's the thing related to teaching techniques also. Give me a second. Okay, now I would like, you see the list over there, right? Who should observe the class? Who should do it? Like I mentioned earlier, there can be the head of school or the principal. Okay, the coordinator, senior teacher, and can be if you have a coach, or a mentor. If you have new teachers, usually new teachers will have a coach or mentor, or even your fellow teachers, okay, your colleagues, or other parties like consultants, if your school invited consultants, or maybe guests coming to your school, or even pre-service teachers, okay? Pre-service teachers refer to the teachers who are still in school, who are still in the university. They haven't got their degree yet as a teacher, but then they are being taught, or they are trained to be a teacher. We call it pre-service teachers. Well, I think most of you, you are called in-service teachers because you are already doing the teaching practices, or maybe yourself, okay? I would like to hear whether you've been observing other classes, or you've been observed by other people, or maybe you have observed your class, okay? I would like to hear from some of the teachers here. Let me pick some of the teachers. Okay, Miss Rima.
Hello, Miss
Hello, hello, Miss Rima. Miss Rima, have you ever been observed by some of these people listed on the screen, Miss Rima?
Yes, of course, Miss Yannik.
Mm.
In English Massive, in the beginning of the years, we usually have some observation, both informal and non-formal. I think who should observe the class, hello?
Yes, hello, please continue.
I think who should observe the class is fellow teachers and teacher coach, Miss Yannik.
Oh, okay. Have you been
Because
observed by your fellow teachers, Miss Rima?
yes, of course.
Okay, good. Okay.
We usually do some observation and give some feedback in the class. In my peer teaching. Like that. In management English Massive, we have management and academic, and also tutors. And the academic asks the tutors to do some observation in the beginning of the year, to know how the teacher do teaching learning activities in the class.
Okay.
When they have some just like weakness, or some brilliant topic to give to the other tutor. So we always discuss in the end of the activity, Miss.
Okay. Have you ever observed by somebody that you don't know, not from a mass institution, maybe guests or consultants coming to your class, something that you think you are not familiar with, but then
Yes.
this person is coming to your class?
Yes, Miss.
And how was it? How did you feel?
I feel happy, and I get some others knowledge because they from formal education. And as we know that EMAS in informal, so we we share.
Yes, Miss Rima, please continue.
Hello.
Yes, please continue.
The observer is from formal education, so we share each other how formal and informal education in doing teaching learning activities in the class.
Okay.
So we get some new knowledge, Miss Yani. Because in informal education we have the different students, different age and also different ability. But in formal education, they have the same age, although they have the different abilities.
Okay. So why don't you observe yourself? Have you ever recorded yourself and watched yourself as you are watching a movie, but that's your class? Have you ever recorded your class? Oh, yes. And how was it? How was it? Were you happy to see
I
your
tried to
face?
record. I tried to record my teaching learning activities, and I watch after I teach, and I saw that I a lot of a lot of talking miss than my students, I think.
Did you happen to close your eyes when you were looking at your own face on the screen?
Yeah.
Usually I myself, when I see my own recording or recorded class, I tend to close my own eyes, or I don't want to hear my own voice. And then for me myself, Miss Rima, usually I realized that I made there is a pattern like gestures or fillers that I tend to say or to do in my class. But then I think that's the hardest one. For me, it's the hardest one to see my own self being observed by myself. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Miss Rima, for sharing your experience.
Yeah, you are welcome, Miss Yani.
Okay. Miss Noni Narolita.
Yes, Miss, I am.
What about you, Miss Noni? Have you who has observed your class, Miss Noni, as a teacher?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. If we are talking about observe the class, or yes, observe the class. Your question is, sorry, Miss. Your question is, who is observe my class?
Who has observed your class? You've been observed by whom in the classroom?
Oh, yeah. Usually because of I'm teach in Arisala Islamic boarding school. Yeah, if I want to observe my class, maybe I need the help. I need the help my partner, especially who teach in English subject also. Because in Arisala Islamic boarding school, there are two of the English teacher, me and my partner. Her name is Miss Olive, like this, Miss.
Oh, okay. Are you observed by your principals or coordinators regularly, Miss Noni?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Miss. Usually, because of I'm teach in the 7th of the grade, and then the characteristic from Risala Islamic boarding school is a boarding school, so it is a different Miss class. The boys class is different, and then the girl class is different, and then because it is the formal of the education, yeah, I observe this classroom, this student, yeah, with my partner. It means that I want to get the good of the result about the characteristic from the students.
Okay. Miss Noni.
Yes, yes.
After the observation, usually the observers will share their opinions about your class. They will give you feedback, right? So
yes,
how did you feel? How did you feel when you receive feedback from someone who observed your class?
Yeah. Yes, Miss. Because back because of the I'm teach in Arisala Islamic boarding school. Yeah, I'm sorry, Miss, because this is so very crowded, so very noisy.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
Yes, Miss. And then I also, Miss, after I teach some of the material from my student, I give the feedback. It means that I want to know where is the competition, where is the ability from my student. And then so far because of Arisala Islamic boarding school, the class is different, boys and girl is the different. It is not make the one of the classmates. So far from the year that has a difficult to understanding about the material. It is especially from the boys classmates. So about the boys class, the feedback it is different from the girl class. If I give the feedback from the boys class, maybe it is to understanding about the material still difficult. Maybe it is from maybe it is 60% me 60% to understanding about the material, especially it is the material from the grammars, about the grammars. After I teach or explain about the material, I directly miss it is directly to give the feedback. For example, do you understand or have you get it my material, have you get it my explanation? And then many of the students, especially from the boys, my students say, I don't know, ma'am. Sorry, I still not get it. I still confused about your material. But it is so different, miss, when I'm teach from Michael class. If I teach from Michael class, if I give the feedback to my student and then 50% or maybe 70% miss 70% my student from the girl class say, yes miss, I understand. I understand about your material. I know, I get it, your material. There is miss maybe just one or just two my students still confused, but it's okay.
Okay. Miss Noni, have
Yes.
you ever received feedback that you don't like to hear from the observers?
Have you ever what, miss? Have you ever give
Have you
feedback?
ever received feedback that you don't like to hear from your observer?
Yes, miss. Ever. Usually that how miss, I give the feedback. I give a piece of the paper like this, and then there is the several of the question, especially in English language like this, miss.
Okay.
And then it is many of the my student write, ma'am, I'm so sorry, I still not understand about the material, but I promise I will be study hard to understanding your material like this, miss. And then about the feedback, after I receive the feedback from my student, it is my correction also, miss. Why my students still confused to understanding my material? Maybe the background of my student, and then maybe if I explain my material in English, maybe miss, it is too fast, or maybe I'm still using to speak in English 100%. It is the correction for me, miss. So I means that after I give the feedback from my student also, and it is to increase also to teach my student in the classroom.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Noni.
Yes, miss, you are welcome. Sorry, miss, if I answer your question that still many of the mistake or it's not sweet with your idea or your opinion.
No problem. Thank you for sharing your experiences, Miss Noni.
Yes.
Okay. I think for this slide, I would like to hear from one more teacher, Mr. Ajang Supriyono.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
What
here.
about you? Have you got any experiences with being observed by your maybe coordinators, fellow teachers, or maybe some consultants coming to your class? Have you ever been observed? Like, have you got any experiences that you can share with us about the observation? Let me see. Yes, Mr. Ajang.
Okay, sorry for being mood. muted. Okay. About doing observation. Actually, in English Massive, when I have become new tutor, actually I did first observation that is about like coming to the class and seeing the tutor who was teaching at the time. In that activity, what I could find is about how to give the treatment for the participants. That's the first observation that I did. And what can we add? I mean, about the teaching method that still lasts, or another activity that we can put after teaching, maybe some of warmer or ice breaking that we can give for the participants. And also doing observation. If I'm not mistaken, this is when we have new class. Of course, we did observation in a new sport that we get, and we have to know that about the participant characteristic. Okay, most of the participants are girl or boys, and what they like. So we can bring the right material for them.
Okay. Have you ever recorded yourself and then you review your own teaching, Mr. Ajang?
Yeah, I ever. Is it clear enough? Sorry.
Clear, no problem.
Yeah, not usually actually, just once or 3 times for using this voice recorder.
Oh,
Okay, when I talk in the spot. Why I record it? Actually, the reason is for improving my teaching skill, because when I record it, actually I know that did I give the clear interaction, or is that complicated enough to give explanation for them? That's okay.
So you recorded yourself in order for you to give your own feedback, whether your teaching is effective or not, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's my purpose.
But have you ever video recorded yourself? You are watching yourself teaching?
Pardon, miss?
Have you ever video recorded yourself? So you see the video of yourself teaching?
Actually, I didn't record in video, but it's only about audio.
Oh, okay. So you have done your quite good effort of recording the audio. Maybe next time you can try to video record yourself, and then you watch your own video teaching your students. And then sometimes you will realize, oh, this kind of movement, I tend to use this kind of filler, my gestures. I think it's going to be very interesting to try also in the future. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, miss.
Thank
Actually,
you.
I won.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ajang.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
We are moving on to the next slide, everyone. So it's good to hear that class observation definitely is not something strange for most of you, I believe. Maybe some of you are lucky enough to be observed regularly, while some of you maybe only observe, you got the observation only once in a year or twice in a year. But then observation is very good. And sometimes even in some schools, they invite parents to observe the class. So every school has their own way of doing the observation. But for me, myself, I think the hardest one to do is observing myself during when I'm watching the video recording of my own teaching. I think that's for me, it's the hardest one, because I feel like a bit too much for me, but then I need to do it because I would like to see whether my teaching is effective, and then what kind of languages that or expression that I tend to use, or maybe certain gestures or fillers that I use. Maybe if you haven't tried to video record yourself, maybe you can give it a try and watch yourself teaching. Make sure you have the audio, Or maybe you can try what Mr. Ajang has tried in his own class. He voice recorded himself so that he can hear his own voice and then how he explained certain instruction or concept to the students. That's also a good idea to do too. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. And then we're talking about the purpose. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing the classroom observation? Yes, it is very important because as teachers, we should learn day by day about our progress and our ability to teach. But then is that the only purpose? Okay, some schools or institution might use it for quality control. So they want to make sure the tracking of the quality of their teachers or their educators in school. So they will see, oh, whether everyone is doing the, like for some schools, maybe they have certain curriculum that they need to follow or certain techniques that they're going to use, or certain language policy. Like in my school, the language policy is only English only policy, or maybe some other schools might use different policies. So they have the quality control, or maybe certain schools, they believe in student-centered learning. So they want to make sure that teachers are using student-centered learning or contextualized teaching practices or many other ways. That's why they need the quality control, okay? Of course, the students are our observers actually. So your students actually are your observers. Your daily observers are the students. But then sometimes you need someone else to come to your class and give you feedback, especially the ones who know about the techniques or teaching techniques, or they give you feedback about the effectiveness of delivering certain target language, or some other people that can give you wise suggestions about how to cater certain needs of the students, or many other things, okay? And then some other schools, as mentioned earlier, they use it as a tool, okay, to measure the teacher quality, okay? Not just quality control, but then they're going to include it in a professional development, whether the teachers, for example, after they come to certain classes, oh, the teachers need certain training, okay? And then they're going to deliver a training, and then they will have like day-to-day activity of observation. So they will see the progress of the teacher. That's also possible. Some other school, in extension of quality control, they use it for their tool or the data for assessing the teacher, evaluation, yearly evaluation. Every school is different, every institution is different, but then some schools or some institution will use the result of the observation as one of the tools to determine whether this teacher is performing or not, okay? Well, the other school might see it, okay, we would like to know the needs of the teacher, we would like to know the effectiveness of their teaching, or what kind of professional development they need, the follow-up and everything, and they use it for the purpose of professional development. So every school is different, depends on the policy or maybe the needs of every school. Okay, so usually we are talking about the formal observation. For informal, usually is something surprising, right? So the observer will come at any time for certain period of time, and usually it's very short. But then for the full observation, usually it's going to be the full length of classroom, full length of lesson delivery. Usually if your class is 30 minutes, it's going to be 30 minutes. If the lesson is about even 90 minutes, the observer will stay for 90 minutes. And usually for this type of formal assessment, there will be some stages, like first, the observer will come to you and talk with you first about what are you about to teach? What is your lesson plan? Let me know about what you have taught before. And then they will get to know. The first step is the consultation process. They would like to have the discussion first with you. And like they call it like pre-observation conference between the teacher and the observer. While the heart of this stage will be the classroom observation. So the observer will come to your class, and usually they have rubric. They have the assessment paper for them to have the observation. And then after that, after the lesson, they will have another session of post-observation conference. So they will discuss about what you have done and then what things that you need to improve or things that you can do better next time. Okay. So usually this kind of stages will be implemented in the full length of observation. Oh, I would like to know from the teachers. Wait. Bapak Hari Anggara, Bapak Hari. Before I move on to our next slide, I would like to hear whether you also have this kind of stages like pre-observation and post-observation conference. I would like to hear maybe from one or two participants before we move on to the next slide. Yes, Bapak Hari Anggara. Okay, seems like he's not there. Miss Inin from SDI Bandar Kidul, are you over there, Miss Inin? Hello, Miss Inin. Oh, I think no response from Miss Inin. Where are the people actually? Miss Zahra Zatira. Miss Zahra Zatira, are you over there, Miss Zahra? Apparently, some of the participants are not responsive today. Let me see. Ibu Rusdi Wardani.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Ibu. From what school are you, Ibu?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. May I know what school are you teaching at the moment?
SMP Katolik Santa Maria.
Oh, okay. What is the nickname of your nickname, Ibu? How should I address you?
I'm so sorry. cannot hear you well.
Okay,
there
because
are
you are in
yeah.
this room, right?
Yeah, there are many students.
Oh, you have many students. Oh, you prefer to listen to only.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I wouldn't disturb you while you still have a session with your students or your colleagues. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem, Ibu. Bapak Muhammad Solihin. Bapak Muhammad Solihin.
Graciela, tempat tanggalnya tulisan.
Bapak Muhammad Solihin. Where is he? Oh, or we can talk to Bapak Didik. Bapak Didik. Hello, Bapak Didik. Oh, I think Bapak Didik is not responsive. Let's move on to Ibu Anis then. Miss Anis Fauzia Handoko. Miss Anis. Hello, Miss Anis. I couldn't hear you, Miss Anis. Okay, Miss Anis. Where are you teaching currently, Miss Anis? I think we have audio issue with Miss Anis. I'm so sorry. I think we need to pick another participant. Okay. Okay. I think Miss Lia is ready. Miss Lia. Hello, Miss Lia.
Hello, Miss Yannik.
Miss Lia, have you ever experienced the full length of observation in your class? The formal observation?
Yes.
Yes. And then do you experience the pre-observation conference, classroom observation, and also post-observation conference?
That's right. We in English Massive, we usually have the pre-observation conference before we do in here we call it as the micro teaching. Micro teaching before that, so we have the meeting with management tutor and also the master tutor. and they will explain about what kind of the instrument will be used to do the observation, to do the supervision, and after that, we will talk about the schedule and which spot, which class will be observed.
During the observation, will the observer interrupt the classes, or the observer will be very silent during the lesson, based on your
Okay.
experience?
Based on my experience, so the observer will stay at the place and he or she would take a note and also observe the whole of teaching and learning process. And after the class end, so the observer will give the feedback to us.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
they didn't interrupt the teaching and learning process.
Okay. Did the observer get a chance to move around the class or just stay on certain spot, Miss Leah?
Sometimes they move.
Hmm.
They move. Maybe they want to from the different side or something like that. So they move from maybe from the back. I mean the back row into the front, but they didn't interrupt the teaching and learning process.
Okay. What about the informal observation? Have you ever experienced a surprise visit from your fellow teachers or maybe from the management coming to your class? But no
From
announcement.
the guys, I mean, because in EMAS we have one of mahasiswa magang, like.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Leah, for sharing with us today.
Okay.
Okay, we move on to the next slide, okay, teachers. Okay, next one, we would like to see another one. Actually, this is a research, but it's based on the classroom observation. It is from Japan. So what they call is Japanese model of teacher-led research, because there will be a group of teachers work together. They identify a certain area of development of their student learning, and then they're going to use the evidence coming from maybe the worksheet, can be from the classroom interaction, can be from any sources that they got, and mostly from the observation. That's why I would like to connect you to lesson study. And the participants, there will be a group of teachers, right? All of them will work in a collaborative manner. They're going to plan a lesson together, and then there will be a teacher doing the teaching practice, and then they're going to observe series of lessons, and then they're going to do some reflection and then some input or feedback to refine the intervention. Later on, I would like to share also the cycle before we watch the video, okay? So this is the cycle of lesson study. So instead of the, what is it, like the principal, management, or coach coming to your class would like to know your lesson plan, in lesson study, they started with the word study. So they would like to see the curriculum and the standards of the lessons or certain subjects that they're about to focus. And then they will see the long-term goals for the students' learning and development. So the purpose is not just one go and then done. So lesson study is ongoing process. After they study the curriculum and everything, they are going to plan which one, which class or which lesson they are going to use it as a research lesson. And then they anticipate the students' thinking, and then they plan the data collection and lesson. So maybe some teachers, you are required to do a research, you can do the lesson study cycle for your research too. And then what good about this research is that you are going to get involved to the planning and everything. It's not you just being, for example, if you are the observer, you are going to give them assessment or everything like that to the other teacher, or on the other hand, as the other teacher, you only got feedback from the observer. But in lesson study, you plan together, you study together, you anticipate the possible things that you need to be aware of, and then you are going to plan, and then they will do the research lesson. So one of the team member, as it is mentioned in the definition, is a group of teachers working together to do the lesson study cycle. And one of the teachers is going to be the one who is going to teach, and the rest will be the one who are going to observe. If it is implemented in a school, it's going to be very good because you are going to learn, not focusing on the teacher ability, but then more into the student responses. So teacher will see how the students react when the teachers are doing certain technique, and then how the students do the collaborative work after the teachers are giving them instruction or something like that. So more into the student responses, the focus. And then you are going to do the reflection. So what they have learned from the students learning, once again, not the teacher teachings, more to the students learning. And then what kind of learnings and new questions they need to carry forward in their work. So this is the cycle. They learn from a class, but then they plan together. Okay. Miss Mita. Miss Mita?
Yeah, Miss Yannik, what can I
you
help
have
you?
to play the video so that the teachers can watch together?
Oh, can you please share the link, Miss? Okay.
The link is over there. Let me.
Miss, can you please copy the link to the chat box so I can help you to
Okay. Give me a second,
video.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Just I need to wait. Where is the chat box? It is sent Miss Mita.
Miss Miftah, let me help. It's okay. Let me share the video.
Lesson study is a process whereby teachers as a team collaborate, develop a lesson that one of those people in the team volunteers to teach, and it's taught, it's observed by the other people in the team. The team comes back, has a discussion around it, what worked, what didn't work, what they think might need to be changed, and then another volunteer from that group reteaches the same lesson with its adjustments to a different group of children, and then the observation and discussion is had again around that. The team leaders were the first people to do the lesson study and be the person to teach the lesson, and that way everybody felt it was okay. Lesson study is a very non-judgmental strategy to use. It's not about the teacher because the lesson is developed as a team, and it is a team effort, so it's around the strategy itself. It's not the teacher, it's not individualised. We're not looking at the teacher, we're looking at the strategy, we're looking at the things that are happening in classrooms to improve student outcomes.
first, the students are really scared because they've got other teachers coming in the classroom. They feel really overwhelmed and think that all the teachers are there for them. So basically what we usually do before we do our lesson study is scaffold the students and remind them that lesson study is basically not to observe the students. It's basically us and other teachers visiting the classroom to think of ways of how we can improve student learning.
Our aim today is to look at student self-directed learning in stage 3.
Like Jan said, it is SOL, so it's self-organised learning environments. So it's very student directed. So they've got a big question that they're researching and answering. They organise their own groups, and at the end they present one fact that they've found and then reflect on their learning in the group.
As observers, we don't interfere with the natural process of the lesson. We don't talk or carry on a sidebar conversation during the lesson. We can circulate around the room when the children are engaged, but not when it's a teacher and class situation. We stand to the back and the sides, and it's about the goals of the lesson. It's not about Amanda's teaching or Amanda. It's about the goals of the lesson, what's happening in the lesson, and what we can see from there. And of course, we're embedding all of those things that we've been talking about and learning about in professional learning.
Why is SOLs important? Why are those skills important? I know you all came up with your own success criteria. You've got them on your checklist. Hands up who can give me one example of something that they put for their success criteria. I think it went well. They love SOLs, they're very engaged with it. You can see that they self-organise. I think they're just so engaged with the process, and you can see that they're connecting the skills, they're connecting the success criteria, and they're doing that in other subjects as well now. So it's nice to see a class that can self-regulate their learning.
It worked well, and there wasn't any behaviour problems. Everybody was on task, and in the end they did produce some good, relevant information.
Jalal, do you just want to give us a brief rundown on what's going to happen today?
Okay, so students in 5-6A and 5-6C have been undertaking learning using the SOL model in order to develop their critical and creative abilities within the ICT capability. We all came together after Amanda did her first lesson study, and we realised that to change it for my lesson study, we'll do a buddy class. So Amanda did her SOL with her class. My class is a buddy class, so mine is half of 5-6A and half of 5-6C. What we're going to do today is continue our SOL session that we worked on yesterday. You'll all be presenting your information to the whole class, so make sure each one of you has something to present, and you record and share your findings at the end. Okay, so you can start your SOL session, and also don't forget to put up your vocab and your websites, please. You'll have 20 minutes, so keep an eye on the timer. You can move around the room or sit on the floor wherever you like. You can start now.
One of the things about lesson study is that, you teach, you change what needs to be changed, and then you reteach. And we've done that today. And you talked about the reteach being how you changed it up. Can you just refresh us on that one?
So the reteach of Amanda's lesson study was Amanda conducted her SOL session with her class, whereas for my session we changed it up with students from 5-6A and 5-6C. So we halved our class up roughly, and we called it the buddy class, and that was a strategy that we adopted from the SOL program when we were doing our program there. The reason why we did that is just to challenge the students. We found that the kids, while they were doing it in our class, were always going in the same groups. We thought, let's see how the dynamics change if we buddy them up with different students and challenge them. I believe the lesson went really well. I think our outcome was achieved. All the kids were engaged, all of them were on task, all of them completed everything that they needed to do in their success criteria.
I really think that the learning intention was really nailed. And if we really look at the learning intention, which was to work collaboratively, locate, analyse, summarise and evaluate sources using technology, it's that broad concept of learning intention. So looking at learning intentions, I think, was really great.
Difficulties is mainly the pressure of it. We know that teachers across the school are there to support us, but it is quite nerve-wracking thinking that you're going to have a group of teachers coming in and viewing your lesson. However, the first few times we did it, we realised that it's constructive. No one's there to give you negative feedback or say that you're not teaching well. It's really a great tool to become a more proficient teacher.
Lesson study has allowed us to see how our professional learning and the strategies that we're talking about and learning to improve student outcome, it allows us to see how it's been embedded in classrooms. And because we do it K to 6 and because we share across stages now, it allows all of us to see how it's been embedded, but it also gives us lots of ideas that we can actually take and modify to use in our own classrooms.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mita and Miss Antik for showing the video. So I think teachers, that's the last slide from our session today. And that lesson study is quite new for some of us maybe, but then this kind of approach, it should be conducted in a kind of school-wide context or maybe department-wide. So it should be some teachers working together to do it. So can it be only teacher and supervisor or teacher with one fellow teacher? That's not the way it works. That's why maybe if you still remember the first assignment that I give you via Google Classroom, there was a video about a class being observed by many teachers, and that's the example of lesson study. And then I saw some participants give the comments, I think the class is too crowded. Yeah, I can imagine, right? If you have another teacher or another person coming to your class, it feels overwhelming already. But then, yeah, it feels very overwhelming. I implemented this thing also. I joined the training from the Japanese institution focusing on lesson study in Indonesia actually years ago. And then in the beginning, it was like something strange, like you let many teachers, more than 2 teachers coming and observe the teaching. Yeah, in the beginning, it feels weird, but then after several meetings, because the focus of lesson study is not to detect your mistakes or to find out that you are not good teachers or bad teacher, but then more into how can we improve together? Where can we improve the teaching effectiveness together? So that's the thing that maybe things that you can do with small groups, maybe you can try. I think it's going to be a bit hard with the EMAS teacher, I think, because you are spread in different areas of Kediri, right? But then if you stay in one school and in your department, there are several teachers, you can try this one. So you plan together, you find out the learning objectives, and then you plan the lesson together and do the lesson observations. And the end, you are going to do the reflection, like what one of the participants, Mr. Ajang, said. I would like to, I recorded my voice because I would like to see whether I was giving explanation in an effective manner or not. That's called reflective teaching. So they reflect the learning together and then give feedback and think of the next step to do, and then do another cycle. So in that way, teaching is not just about teaching, but then also learning. And in the beginning, it's going to be a bit hard to implement, but then after a few meetings, once again, if you stay in one certain building with a group of teachers in your department, you can try this kind of thing. You don't have to follow whatever they're doing like exactly because you haven't got the training maybe, but then you can try to plan certain lessons together because the feeling is different, okay? You plan the lesson together and you execute, and then the rest of you are going to observe, but the focus is not finding errors of the other teachers. That's not the goal. You will see how the student react or respond to the teaching, and then you come back as a group again and do the reflection together and plan for the next one. So that kind of cycle is going to be good for the community of teachers. And maybe you can try, if it's not possible, for me, myself, I don't want to stick on certain rules like lesson study should be conducted by a group of teachers more than 5. If I only have 1, oh, we cannot do it. So we can also do it. We can always adjust, right? Maybe you have a partner teacher, like what Miss Noni has mentioned, she got a partner teacher. You can do it with your partner teacher. Not every meeting, maybe you can do it on certain topics, but then it's something that you don't have to wait for the superintendent, you don't have to wait for the principal, or you don't have to wait for your coach to observe you. You can work together with your colleagues to grow together and make improvement for your class. I think that's the goal of lesson study. Excuse me. Okay. I'm very happy to hear that most of you experience the class observation regularly, because that's very important. But then I would like to challenge you to video record yourself regularly and see your own class. For me, that's the hardest one to watch. Okay. I love watching K-drama, but not watching myself teaching. So that's the thing. Because then you realize it, oh my God, why am I doing that? Why am I so stupid? Why should I say that? Why I should repeat that again and again? And it's silly to see yourself. Like sometimes you can try Pak Ajang's idea first, record yourself first. After you can bear to listen to your own voice, maybe you can move on to watch your own movie of teaching. And that's going to be, you yourself going to be usually very brutal of your own lesson compared to the other person. But then it's good, because sometimes we have to reflect by ourselves without being, you need the mirror, right? So the mirror will be your video recorded class, and you will see yourself, because usually during virtual meetings like this, Miss Mita, right? Usually people are aware of their face. Oh, my hair is like this. If you're in class, you don't see yourself, right? Even I got an issue with my students, the preteen one, grade 6, they tend to realize it that their forehead is so wide or something like that. They don't like their face, because through this kind of virtual learning, actually you see yourself talking, and sometimes you see things that you don't want to see. Okay, so I think we need it also for our class. We don't have to wait for our coordinator to. Sometimes you can also request for your coordinator to come. And for me, the worst one is the informal one. I mean, the talk wow. If your class is super good, oh, you will be happy to be observed, right? But then if your class is in a mess and somebody's coming, oh my God, you're in a bad day. So that's the thing. Maybe Miss Mita, the management from EMAS can do a lot of informal observation in the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. Then you will see the real picture of a class usually. Because if it is formal assessment, usually teachers are preparing their best for the observation.
Yeah. So actually, Miss Yani, for some classes, I and Miss Anti went to some classes, and we don't text the tutor first.
Oh.
And yeah, it's like talk wow. We went there, and yeah, we see some tutors who have prepared the teaching well, but also there are some tutors who not prepare themselves well in teaching.
Okay, that's good. So I think teachers in EMAS, they got surprises quite regularly, right? So they get used to it, no problem. So maybe next one they can have, maybe some teachers, now it's a trend in Jakarta that teachers have portfolio, not just photo model, right? They have portfolio from their, if you create, for example, teaching materials that you think is very useful, be it worksheet or can be some flashcard or everything. If they think it works very well, they're going to put it in a teaching portfolio, and also the recording of their teaching. So there's a trend in Jakarta that teachers are applying a job through through certain compilation of file to show how good the teacher is teaching. So maybe you can try to have your own portfolio. Maybe you don't have to use it for applying a job, but for you to remember your own journey as a teacher. If you are a new teacher, you will see the progress. And then sometimes me, myself, when I saw my teaching from years ago, I was like, what did I do? Why should I do that? So there's something like that. The same like book. Today, you understand certain books to a certain extent. The more you live your life, then you will know, oh, I have a different understanding. So that's the thing. Meaning you are thinking, you are improving, you are learning. And that's the teachers that the students are expecting to have. I think that's all from me today, Miss Mita and all the participants.
Miss Yani,
yes,
I have one question actually. I should, by the way, thank you very much for the presentation. I got so much insights in designing and doing the teacher observation, I guess, next year. So thank you for that. But can you please share how you do this lesson study, perhaps with your teachers at Bina, Gita, Gemilang, or somewhere else? I mean, we learned that for doing lesson study, then it takes several cycles, right? So it's not like just a one-off observation and that's it. They got the report and reflection and it's done. And what will you do with the result of the research that they do for the lesson study? How are you going to do that to inform the teaching practice in the future at that school? And also, do you have any suggestion related to well, actually, this relates to your statement about how regular we do observation. Actually, we don't do that too frequently, too regularly. We just, but Miss Miftah is right. Sometimes we do talk wow without without informing the tutors first. But then sometimes we got surprised too after traveling like 20 minutes to the class, and then it turned out that the class schedule changed, so we got nobody there. So that happens sometimes too.
Oh, so the surprise comes both ways, right? From the
yes,
teacher and from
yes.
you.
We were surprised first before we give the surprise to the tutor. We were surprised first, but anyway, is it ideal to do it like only in the beginning and in the end of the year, or it should be like at least 3 times in the beginning, in the mid-year, and then also nearing the year end? What would be your suggestion? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Miss Auntie. I think there's no such like an answer for that. I mean, like no perfect answer for that, because every school, every setting might need a different approach. But me myself, I would like to do it at least 3 times, because you will give a chance for them to improve, right? If you just observe for one time, just that one time doesn't work, the end for the whole year, right? But then if you do it at least 3 times in the beginning, in the middle, or towards the end, then you will give them a chance to improve and you will see progress. Hopefully the progress, because usually what I would like to see from the teachers is that whether they are making an effort. I don't want to expect perfect teachers, but then I would like to see teachers who are willing to do extra mile to improve themselves. Okay, 3 times will be good. 1 time will be quite nerve-wracking for the teacher, meaning if they, during that one shot of observation, they did not perform very well, then meaning for the whole year they are doomed. But then for 3 times is very ideal, though it's a bit hard to do. It's a bit hard to do. But then 3 times is going to be very ideal. And walkthrough or very short or informal is also very interesting. So usually the beginning of the lesson will define the whole lesson. And the end of the lesson you will see whether the teachers can wrap up the lesson very well or not. And then the heart of the lesson will be for example, during the practice or in the middle of the lesson will be the heart of the teaching. So talk wow will be very good. Even while the teachers are greeting the student, you will see. So walkthrough is going to be very good, Miss Nita or Miss Auntie. If you, for example, your schedule is very packed, you have a lot of teachers teaching in EMAS, right? But then you can come up in any kind of situations without letting them know. And then you stay there for 5 minutes and you will see. Because if this class is good or the class is well maintained and well managed, for the whole session will be quite good. And then going to be, but then that walkthrough, we call it walkthrough or learning walk, can be only 5 to 20 minutes, but then you come there like several times also. Because I believe teachers, sometimes they have bad days, right? Teachers sometimes got brokenhearted too. Some female teachers get their period or bad mood, or male teachers maybe got arguments with the girlfriend or something like that. So that maybe will affect. Teachers are humans. Sometimes they're clueless in the classroom once in a while, so that they deserve another chance to be observed. Well, for lesson study, Miss Antik, I joined the training before from JICA, because lesson study is from Japan, right? And then it has been I mean, like a lot of schools in US and Europe are doing the similar thing because they see the progress. So this is research-based classroom observation. And usually we find a group of teachers to work together with us. We do the training and we do it because there is a cycle. Like there is a cycle. I mean, teachers usually you do some report, right? Like research also. What do we call it, that one? Like you do something and then you reflect and you do it again. I don't know whether
Similar to classroom action research, right?
yeah,
Am I
similar to that
similar?
one.
Yeah.
Similar, yes, similar to that one. Similar to classroom action research, but then more into a group work. This is the group work planning together. When the other one is teaching, the rest are going to see the effectiveness of the teaching and they're going to reflect together. While for classroom action research is more into individual approach, while this one is a group work. And then it's good to have a research on certain things that you are going to do, certain approach. And what we like is that lesson study is like putting a lot of ideas from different teachers to certain classes. Well, maybe for classroom action research from one teacher planning and then they implement and then they reflect one teacher. But then lesson study is done by a group of teachers. And the heart of lesson study is observation. That's the thing. And reflection, reflective teaching. That's the hardest part actually. And me myself at that time, we did another approach for lesson study. Like we don't focus on what the teacher is talking, but then we focus on how the student respond and react. Okay, so because we believe if the student are responding well or reacting well, it comes from a good teaching. That's the thing. Like we modify a little bit the focus at that time, but then actually it's not something like that. As a study is more into finding solutions of the issues that they have in the classroom instead of finding the weakness of the teacher while they are teaching. That's the thing that I can share maybe. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Problem is Ante. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Mita, before we end the session?
Okay, thank you, Miss Yannik. Thank you for the nice sharing and explanation. So I'm going to note some what is it called, material from today's workshop. First, it's very important to do a classroom observation both for teachers, students, school, and also for researcher. Okay, because today is our last meeting for workshop with Miss Yannik. Can you guys turn on your camera on so we can take the picture together? Let us see your beautiful and handsome face. Okay, I'm going to take the screenshot for the first slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the second slide. 3, 2, 1. The third slide. And the last slide. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for coming today in English Massive Tutor Workshop, everyone. See you in another occasion. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Love to see you here in Kediri, Miss Yannik, if you have time.
Hopefully next year.
See you.
That
Thank
would be
you.
great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the
Thank you,
opportunity.
everyone. Also, have a good weekend. Yay.